Ran out of recording time there, and I didn't realize how late it was starting to get, and about 3 or 4 or so, and so I didn't want to be making too much noise, disturbing the neighbors and their peace. But I wanted to share some of my some culture with you, and along with that, I'd like to share with you a story that was told to me. You've seen several videos that was of me playing my flute, and a lot of people don't know the actual origin story of the flute and what the flute really was in the Native American culture. The flute played a very, very key role in courtship. So for all you young men out there that might be watching, or older men looking for a way to impress his significant other, or if you're just getting back out there in the dating scene. Now, I am not one for relationship advice. I'm like the absolute worst person ever. Believe me. Just ask people that know me, they'll tell you the same thing. But I know a few little things about the native culture and stuff, and I always found this to be really romantic, and everything, and real sensual. I think is the word. I hope. If it means something else, forgive me. But, or just a real sincere, sentimental thing. See, this was told to me by my cousin. Now, this wasn't an older cousin. This, in fact, was a cousin that's probably 5, 6 years younger than me, or a little bit more younger than that. But he went down south, took a trip with his dad, because his dad used to haul camper trailers and also used to be a truck driver, and he up and went down south with him, and I cannot remember where they went. I just know it was down south, and they ran across a Native American elder down there, and of course my little cousin, he's at that point in time was somewhat knowledgeable about native culture and native things, and of course I'm no expert myself. Every day's a learning experience. I do know a few do's and don'ts. Some of them I learned the hard way. But anyhows, there was this elder that had a sign up, and I guess he was in full regalia, and was charging money for pictures and everything, and also I guess he was telling stories. Well, my cousin Darren, at that point in time, he didn't realize that he was charging money to take pictures, and he just walked right up to him, started talking to him like he'd known him all of his life, and the boy's a very well-spoken, highly educated young man. I envy his intelligence on some levels, because he's real smart, and very well-spoken. And anyhows, he was talking to this elder, and this elder, I guess, played a flute, and I guess he was talking to him, how he thought the flute was really neat and everything. Well, this elder began to tell him a story, and this was the story that was told to him, that was told to me, and now I'm telling it to you as it was told to me, to the best of my acknowledgement and memory. But a long time ago, if a young fellow wanted to really get a young woman's attention, and he's tried everything else, tried to show his physical strength, and his agility, and his skills as a hunter, and everything, and if it just wasn't getting that young woman's attention, well, he would learn how to play the flute, and he would find somebody, an elder, that knew how to make the flute, the traditional flute, and he would strike up a deal with them, a bargain, a trade, and then he would make him a flute, and then he would go to an elder he knew, whether it had been his grandfather or uncles, and he would ask them, to teach him a song, and he would offer tobacco or whatever native culture background that they came from, they would work out something. And when that young man would learn that song, and he would learn it well, and he would practice it every single day, every single waking moment, when he felt that he was good enough, he would stand outside the girl's lodge, and he would play that song. Sometimes that song would be played for hours on end, even until he was probably almost blue in the face and outwinded. He would play that song. Well, after a little while, one or two things would happen. Either he would be ignored, and he would just keep playing and playing, or he would play for so long that she just could not resist the young suitor, and so she would come out, and I've heard in some cases, if a woman had a shawl, she would wrap her shawl around him and they would walk, or as he played, or she would loop her arm and his, and they would walk as he played, and that was a courtship. And the other worst case scenario in that situation too is if she ignored him, and he continued to play. Also, the other likely story of that is her father would probably come out of the lodge, take the flute, and knock him in the head with it. Now, I'm telling you, I'm just saying this, telling you how it was told to me. That's what could happen in the worst case scenario. I'm sure that was just a joke, but there's one for you fathers out there. Not that I'd ever know what that would be like, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But that's a bit of an origin story of the flute. The flute was used as a courtship instrument, and a lot of people don't realize this, but during all the forced removal of Native Americans off of their indigenous lands, ancestral lands, the flute actually almost became extinct, just like some Native American languages out there. And some elders had actually taken the flutes and had hid them away for years and years, and they were afraid that it would be lost, and so they protected that. They'd wrap it up in blankets and put it in chests if they had chests, and